and I immediately fell in love with it and helped the Bridge Club build them a new center over near my house. Right. And we have a very, very active Bridge Club in Myrtle Beach.
Now, if Davis and Larry didn't know what a duplicate board was at one point and they checked it out, probably a lot of viewers, and myself included, have no clue what you're talking about.
Well, a bridge game is for people to sit around and do all the cards out, and everybody's got 13 cards.
Right.
Well, in duplicate, the cards are pre-dealt and in a little clip, so that the clip's in the middle of the table. And there's, let's say we're going to play 27 hands of bridge today. You pull out your bridge. Let's say you're sitting in the south position. The boards are numbered south, north, east, and west. You pull out. You travel. Your boards travel all over the building. You always play in the south cards.
Right.
So everybody in the building that's sitting south plays the exact same 13 cards as you. So you're not measured by how well you score. You're measured by, can you get more out of those same 13 cards than anybody in this building?
Oh, wow.
Takes the luck out of it.
Yeah.
And you've got to keep up with the math and the percentages and the cards and the suits and kind of logic. So it's an interesting game, yes.
You consider yourself a logician, a good a logic person, or mathematics? Is that something you had?
Yes, I think I think my long suit may be logic and maybe.
And of course, in a setting like that, you have to have other folks. Do you have pretty good crowds show up for?
Oh yes, we have games about every day, bridge games.
Right.
And you can call the Myrtle Beach Bridge Center. I don't have the number, but it's in the book.
Oh yeah.
And get a list of the games and the times. We have games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Right.
Saturday,
today, tomorrow. Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Of course, I've also heard of your love of the outdoors and respecting the environment. I guess you probably don't have a lot. I mean, you're kind of spread out, taking on this new project.
Yes,
of the Living Farm Museum.
I guess I'm a conservationist. I enjoy Sandy Island. I've wanted to help preserve Sandy Island. I've worked real hard to preserve Sandy Island, and along with a lot of other people. And I have a couple of houses on Sandy Island, and I'm a volunteer with the Conservancy and the state, and I have vehicles on Sandy Island.
Is that right?
As a volunteer, yes.
That's fantastic.
And I have property on both ends of the island that I own, and two houses, one on each end, and a little property in the middle, so that I probably had driving rights anyway, but we made me an official volunteer so there wouldn't be any question that my vehicles are legal anywhere where I might want to put them on that island. And I work to keep the roads up and things, as I have for 35 years.
That's wonderful,
Larry. 30 years anyway.
Speaking of preservation, of course, I saw you've also been instrumental in helping the Theater of the Republic grow stronger and stronger in downtown Conway. What prompted that love? Are you an actor yourself?
No. But I think rural Conway needs support for the arts. Emma Lou and Jimmy Johnson are friends of mine, and I have great admiration and respect for them. They are strong in the theater, and they were instrumental in getting me more involved. And,
right.
Of course, Janet Mayers is a friend, and she does an outstanding job with the theater. But all those people do an outstanding job, and it's a bunch of primarily volunteers.
Right.
And I think all of us, as they do, need to give back to serve mankind better, and I think that's
That's wonderful, Larry. Well, of course, it's not all about serving mankind. There's also some fun out there and fun and games. I understand, not other than playing bridge, you're also, of course, and other than being outdoors, you're out on the water a good bit. Are you still out boating? Someone had shared a funny story about catching the squirrel in a dip net, which I can't imagine who would have shared that story with us. One of the columnists for the Myrtle Beach Herald had shared that story and said you had a funny story of catching the squirrel.
Well,
the dip net, that means you were out on a boat.
That might have been my cousin David Joyner, but I love him too. But anyway, we were in a little small bass tournament on the little PD and the big PD rivers years ago, and of course the little old boats are 12-inch sides on them, and a live wire in the center. And as I remember, Jack Holmes from Conway and Wilson Webb, I believe, were in one boat, and I was in the other boat, and we had caught a couple of, Ben Revis was with me, and I had caught a couple of fish. And normally you pull up by them little boats and you look, let me see your fish, and you lean over and you look in the ware. Well, we caught a couple of bass, and we found a squirrel swimming Big Bull Creek. A big cat squirrel swimming Big Bull Creek.
Yeah.
So I drove by him and got my net ready, and I opened the weir, and I dipped him, I put him in the weir, and I closed it. Went on to where Jack was, because I knew Jack was going to look in the weir.
Oh, yeah.
Pulled right up. He said, "Got any fish?" I said, "Yes, sir, got a couple of nice." "Let me see him." And I pulled right up where he get his head right down. He leans down like that and opens the weir. And that squirrel commenced to coming out and up his arm and up his face and on top of his head and jumped back in the water. And he looked at me and said, "You bastard."
That's all.
That's
he
the
had
end
to,
of that story.
Yeah, that's all he had to say.
But I love Jack.
Absolutely. Golly.
He was my dearest friend and still a close friend.
Yeah.
And now I play bridge some with his wife.
Is that right?
But he was my dearest friend for a lot of years.
You think about, of course, so many great names. You shared with us some wonderful names yesterday. Obviously, some folks who were instrumental. And as you said, their word was their bond.
Absolutely. People of integrity.
Are you concerned that today's day and time, that there has to be so much more in contract form because people's word is no longer their bond? Is that
I am
something
very concerned. I'm concerned about, I think I'm the last generation with the work ethic that we had. We worked harder than any Mexicans work today or anybody works today. We had a very, very strong work ethic. We have deteriorated with integrity and work ethic both in our country.
What do you think is...
I don't know. I think we try to do better for our children and we maybe spoiled them too much. We tried to give our kids all the things we did not have, and we maybe made some mistakes doing that.
And that's indicative of lots of parents and grandparents, obviously, who go through that. And you think now yourself as the father, and you're a grandfather as well. I saw here on your bio, obviously, 3 grandchildren. Where are they located, Larry?
The oldest, Eddie's son, is in Georgia at Georgia Tech.
Great, yeah.
And the other 2 are in Mount Pleasant.
Oh, good, good.
In grade schools.
You all get together often? Yeah.
Oh, yes, very much. Yes, we're close.
That's wonderful. You know, as you think about the county and some of the biggest changes, surely for you, having seen this change from Ori being a huge agricultural-based county to really being, to some degree, dependent on tourism, being dependent on rapid construction, home building. What stands out in your mind in that regard is, and do you think that'll change? Will it ever come back to being, to a great degree, dependent on agriculture, or will it always remain from here on really driven by tourism and building growth?
I think Ori County is doomed for tourism forever, and that's a good thing. You know, we have a lot of vast amount of land to the west of us that can be cultivated easier than ours because it's bigger tracts. Here you got to spend $2,000 an acre in woods to get it ready to plant agricultural, row crops. So we do better, I think, probably as a whole with timber and tourism.
You know, as you look at the county, and of course think about those growth opportunities, or when you look at the opportunity to grow the museum, are there parts of what you see today that you want to get folks thinking about an older time, other than you talked about the museum being rural farm from 1900 to 1955. There's another similar museum, is that right? A black museum or something close by?
In Burgess, yes.
In Burgess?
Yes. They have some of the same similar characteristics that we'll have, but we hope we're going to take it to a newer level and a better, bigger anyway. Are
there aspects there on the farm, on the Living Farm Museum that you want to make sure to really, you shared with us yesterday about getting kids involved and having...
Absolutely. And I think Burgess has done a wonderful job. That's a great deal and a great project they got there. And I don't mean to belittle them, because it's a wonderful thing they're doing at Burgess, and I hope they'll continue and grow. But I would like to see young people learn and have some hands-on experience with what their grandparents did.
The idea of utilizing getting it on the bus tours and having, as you shared yesterday, millions of folks.
There's no reason why we shouldn't have tours that would come from the tourism from Myrtle Beach as a main tour, we could have at least 2 different tours to Conway. One, see, Conway is a wonderful little town, and there's no reason why it shouldn't be on a tour, together with our big new museum that'll be on Main Street in Conway, and then for the highlight to be the living farm. I think that would attract masses.
A great connection, just a couple of miles apart, and to be able to feed off of each other.
Yes.
Absolutely. As you think back, Larry, and in wrapping up, we've run out of time, but as you think back, the biggest inspiration for you early in life to set the stage on the path you've gotten in now to want to give back.
Yes.
Is there any one?
Well, I had some people. I had a lot of people in my life that were important to me. Of course, that man named Luke Benson and Willis Duncan were instrumental. George Lovell married me and helped me through a marriage and a divorce, and I loved him and I miss him. He was very instrumental to me. Several people like that, and I mentioned Wall Sr. was, and George Bishop was, and those people were friends and people that I trusted.
Absolutely. A lot of special folks, and obviously your parents, as you shared yesterday.
Wonderful, yes.
Really set the stage. Larry, thanks so much for being with us this morning. I'm sorry we've run out of time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Larry Paul and the L.W. Paul Horry County Living Farm Museum coming up next. You know, it was the uniqueness of those items donated, the relics, this collection he's been growing year after year after year to set the stage for a tremendous Horry County Living Farm Museum. The L.W. Paul Horry County, it's also a substantial donation, a $400,000 donation, this almost $200,000 collection of artifacts. Thinking about that and the difference, you know, Walter Hill highlighted that it was the ordinary people using these pieces. Oftentimes they're not around anymore because they've been tossed aside. It's that significance. Even growing up as an ordinary person, he became an extraordinary person when he found out he had leukemia and had to overcome that and was told he had 6 months to live. It was 6 months to live, year after year, as that drive kept pushing him to construct 4 homes a week on average, to get those out, to build Horry County to what it is today and what it's set to go by for years to come. Think back to the rural farm life of 1900 to 1955, and you'll be able to imagine the L.W. Paul Horry County Living Farm Museum. If you want to learn more, go online to horrycountymuseum.org, horrycountymuseum.org, or pick up the phone. You heard Larry talk about a need for volunteers, even a need for donations. You can make a difference. 843-915-5320. Larry Paul, thanks so much again for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.